Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 13 of Welcome to the Dark Sun, also known as the one where Bardock gets credit and dies again. But seriously, he needs to stop making this a habit because it's getting a little ridiculous and a little predictable. In fact, we've started to discuss who is dying more. Is it Dono, who just runs his mouth all the time, or is it Bardock? But I think Bardock only dies when it comes to big fights, so I would say Dono probably still has the record for that. Speaking of people, who came to the session tonight? As usual, Salentithius was there because I was there. For a brief time, we'll get back to that. Drudok was there, so our other Thrycreen live! Vashti, Bardock, and Nibbles were all at the table. Last session we ended off at Grax's pool, having just defeated the zombie T-Rex. Yay, zombies. And if you remember, Bardock was missing an arm. Poor guy. So after a night of rest, we got onto our chariots and we headed back up to the city of Alturic. And of course, along the way, we came across some bards. And Bards are dangerous on Athos. They're kind of like murdery assassins, so it's like, do you take them out or do you let them be? Vashti believes that the less bards there are, the more special she is, so she's all about laying the boots to every single bard she sees. But we were kind of going past on our chariot, so it wasn't like they're gonna bother us. Except they were annoying a tagster, and so Bardock was like, well, I need to avenge that tagster's life because they just killed him. And without stopping, Bardock just throws a ring of fire down around a couple of them. Vashti drops a fireball in them, and boom, 4 of them are dead. There were 12, so 4 are dead, that leaves 8, and then Bardock just flipped him the bird and we kept going. Now, everything Bardock does seems to have repercussions, so just wait for that to come back later. But the rest of the way to Alturic, we didn't have any problems, and we got in the gates just as our friend Drudok was showing up. Now, Drudok's been away for a while, so in the city of Tyr, he went and asked Daitan, our slave, where we were, and he told him where we went, so he went and got the chariot that was all painted up with Dono's face on either side and the Clan of Arigato flag on the front, and he came up to Alturic. He didn't really have any problems along the way. However, when he got to the mercenaries that block the way to Alturic, everybody was confused. Drudok was confused because he didn't understand why there were people standing here waiting. The mercenaries were confused because he looks very much like a noble, but also he acts very much not like a noble. Somehow he convinced them that he was just poor and not a raider and just looking for friends, and so he got in with just 1 CP per head, which was way better than the price we were quoted. But that's fine. So we all met up as a party, and about this time in real life I had to leave the table to go to a family Easter dinner, so I left. But in my absence, Salentithius went to the pottery shop up in Alturic and decided that he needed to learn how to make pottery. See, here's the thing about Salentithius. His biggest complaint, and whenever he's awkward and clumsy, he just says it's because he has too many arms, because he has 4 arms. So he figured that he would be really good at pottery because he's got so many arms. So he went off to do that for the foreseeable future. And then the rest of the party went to the 4-Bits Inn to have a meal and spend the night. Well, do you remember those bards that they kind of messed with on the side of the road? Repercussions, who could have thought? So while they're sleeping, the bards cast invisibility on themselves and came into the 4-Bits Inn and attacked them in their sleep. It went pretty crazy from what I understand. Bardock did a move earth thing, but they were on the 2nd floor, so it went through the 1st floor. There was fireballs and all that kind of fun stuff. But when the battle was all said and done and they came downstairs and everyone was trying to figure out who caused the battle, Drudok was able to super confuse them by getting a massive deception check and said, oh, it's just bard on bard violence, you should expect that from them. And so they got out of any trouble there. Nibbles gave them 2 GP to repair their inn out of the goodness of her heart, and then they went and spent the night at the castle up there because they had made friends with the guy who ran the town. So the next day they grabbed 2 chariots and they set out and they head towards the druid who has the fire beetle patch, so we call him the king of the fire beetles. My DM's really mad at us for not asking him what his real name is because apparently he's a big deal, but he's just the king of the fire beetles. So they get there, Bardock's a jerk to him, he's a jerk to Bardock, and he's like, I'm not gonna fix your arm. And then finally they convinced him that if they went on a quest for him and came back, he would fix Bardock's arm. And obviously, being the jerk that he is, to solidify the deal, he went to shake Bardock's hand with like the arm that he's missing the hand of. Good times. So they jumped back on their chariots and they went off to go find this Earth Drake, which was who the druid wanted them to take out. But along the way, they ran into 2 raider chariots. It seemed like this wasn't a big battle, wasn't a big deal, but you know, at the end of it, they decided to put the raiders' heads on spikes around the chariots that they destroyed and just continue on their way. No repercussions, right? Just wait. So they continued on and they got towards the cave where this Earth Drake lived, and there was like weird elemental stuff going on. There were sinkholes, dust devils, and rainless thunderstorms, and so it just wasn't a good situation. Also, they decided that it probably wouldn't be a good idea to fight this guy in the lair, in this cave, so Nibbles went inside to try to draw him out. Her stealth check was super high though, so she went in and it was basically Bilbo versus Smaug. Like, Bilbo's here, Smaug can't see him. So she threw Bardock's arm at him because she's still been carrying around in her backpack. That did get his attention, and it also made him burrow under the sand and come up between her and the exit. So as you can imagine, this battle was already going well. Vashti managed to put like a cloud of daggers on the beast, so it went back underneath and Nibbles was able to make her way out and she got some healing. But then the lair had its turn and the lair decided to crush Vashti in a bunch of rocks. So then Bardock came into the rescue by using Move Earth and got all the rocks off of Vashti, but then the Earth Drake decided to claw Bardock with a crit and Bardock died again. He just needs to stop getting crit. Like, I don't know, he's like a crit magnet instead of like chick magnet. It's really funny. So with Vashti at very little health, Nibbles getting down there, and Bardock super dead, they managed to finally kill the Earth Drake, which was good. I mean, Nibbles is a monk and she used like all her key points to put as much damage into this Earth Drake as she could. And then finally he went down. After this, they rested, understandably, got back some hit points, stabilized a druid, and then they went over into the corner where there was a corpse who had a bag, and inside his bag he had a piece of parchment that nobody could read. So the next stop after this point was to go back to the King of the Beetles, let him know what they did, maybe give him the parchment, and then get him to regrow Bardock's arm. Well, remember those raiders that they stuck their heads on spikes? As they're going past that area, Bardock goes, I wonder if the heads are still on the spikes. And all of a sudden, 6 raider chariots come over the hill directly at them. And they're led by one fat Githyanki in like the main chariot, and he's just got this mask on. He's coming for them. And in this chaos, here comes Salentithius back over the hill as I came back from my Easter dinner. And his chariot is just filled with all this pottery that he has made while he's been away. I didn't really do much, and in all honesty, we just focused on this fat Githyanki guy, and we took out his Crodlu to start, so then they were trying to transfer him to another chariot, and then we just killed him. And after that, everybody failed their morale checks, which never happens. Every time we have a situation with a leader and other guys, and there's morale checks, they just choose to keep fighting. But this time we were lucky, they all failed their morale checks, and they all just peaced out. We recovered 3 things, I would say, from here. 1, a chariot, which is like all smeared with blood, so that's lovely, and the Crodlu to pull it, and then also the Githyanki's mask, which we mounted on the front of Salentithius's and Nibbles' chariot, because they've got all the paintings that show where we've been in our quest so far, which we do need to bring it back to the painter to add a couple more things on it now. And honestly, I think this is why we never learn our lesson. Like, we screw with people, they come back to screw with us, and we just destroy them. So repercussions, yes, but we're not learning anything. So next we headed back to the King of the Beetles. He fixed Bardock's arm and we gave him the parchment and we asked him to read it to us. And he was pretty mad at us because it was half of the riddle, I guess, that is supposed to be. He kept being like, you idiots, you only got me half. It's like, well, that's all there was, buddy. And so this is what the half that he has read. It goes, it sleeps for years and it shifts in bed, its blood flows red, it sleeps again. So now we've got like this weird riddle to kind of look into, and apparently it'll lead the way to the moon gate. to get to like that nice lush moon that you can see from Athos. From that point, we headed back to the city of Tyr, and we haven't been there for like weeks. And we were finally able to turn in the quest to find Dasari's caravan. So we got some XP from that. And we also got a gem that was worth, I think, like 100 GP, so that's pretty awesome. But when we went to Haka to turn in the quest, there was this old man just chilling there. He had some like torn robes, but he was very clean looking, and he dealt with us interrupting his conversation with Haka, and then told us that he was from the Earth Shrine and that he didn't feel comfortable traveling back there alone because he had to come to the city to do something. And so he asked if we could escort him back to the Earth Shrine, which we said, yeah, totally, but we need like a night alone here. And so that's our next quest for next session, is to go to the Earth Shrine, hopefully not kill this guy in the process, and also hopefully Bardock won't get crit again. And that's pretty much the end of the session. I know it's a bit shorter of an update this time. It's because I was eating Easter dinner while they were playing, but I still wanted to get a video up, so I got a quick recap from the players and then just like my notes from when I was there. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button down below, and make sure you also subscribe, because we are getting near the end of our quest and we will be taking on Cinder the Defiler very shortly. And I mean, you want to know what happens, right? And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Look at me, I got a fancy car. I'm gonna do burnouts in the parking lot.